Hello, YouTube. This is Old School from WhatTheBuc.net coming to you live from Valrico, Florida. We've got the San Diego Chargers coming into Raymond James Stadium this week. Hopefully we're going to right the ship. This back-to-back losses represents the first back-to-back losses of the year by the Buccaneers. Following 13-10 in overtime to the Atlanta Falcons was less than ideal, obviously. But this week we get a chance to come back home, some home cooking, and face the San Diego Chargers, who are supposed to be a pretty formidable threat this year, but have sort of failed on many accounts. One of the accounts they have not failed, however, is in Phillip Rivers' production. Phillip Rivers essentially was snubbed in the Pro Bowl. He's had a phenomenal year so far, with LT not playing up to the level that LT has played historically. Rivers has really had to put this team on his back. The interesting thing about the Chargers is that 9 of their 14 games have come down to the last 2 minutes, with I believe 6 of them coming down to the last play, which is amazing when you look at their record. Now, some of those have gone their way, but most of them have not. This has been a relatively unfortunate run for the Chargers. But for the Bucs, we really could care less about that. We've got to get the job done. We have outscored teams by about 11 points per game at home this year, which bodes well for us. The NFC South in general has done very well at home, but with regards to our particular point differential, it's been about 11 points per game. So, we've got to take care of business. We have a chance to still control our own playoff destiny, despite the fact that we've gone and coughed up 2 games that were really costly, one in Carolina and then one in Atlanta, to our division foes. If we take care of business with San Diego and take care of business with Oakland next week at home, we're in the playoffs, and it doesn't matter what anyone else does, and that's how you really want to be. You don't have to be relying on other people. So the trick to this whole deal is going to be, we've got to control the Chargers' offense. Now, their offense hasn't been nearly what that offense has been historically. When you look at all the weapons that they have, this is an offense that's always been near the top of the league. When you look at the stats now, they're 14th in the league. We're at 13th. We actually have a higher rated offense than the San Diego Chargers, which is amazing. When you look at their passing offense, though, they're 7th, which is pretty stout, and that kind of goes to exactly what I was talking about with Phillip Rivers. Now, normally at this point, we would have already been talking about LaDainian Tomlinson for about 7.5 minutes. But the fact of the matter is LT, whether it's because of the toe, the workload, or what people are doing against him, and to be honest, I think it's probably more the toe and the workload, has not been the LaDainian Tomlinson of the past years. He was held to 39 yards and a touchdown on 15 carries last week. It's the 6th straight game he's failed to gain 100 yards. It's the longest drought since his rookie season, which is pretty amazing. That doesn't mean we can't pay attention to him. And, God, we got to watch Darren Sproles, too. Now, these are 2 real flashy backs, generally speaking. They don't have that power back like we've been facing. Even with Carolina, they had smash and dash, right? They got the big boy, and then they got the quick feet. Michael Turner, big boy. Generally speaking, these quick backs, we got to make sure we wrap up, but they're not going to run over us, which is what we've been having a problem with as of late. Now, we get our tackles back. We get Jovan Hay back. We get Chris Hovan back. We may lose Styles, otherwise known as Greg White, this week, and potentially Gaines Adams, but I don't think that's going to be the case. Regardless, Jimmy Dynamite Wilkerson moving to the outside is a better position for him than playing that tackle. He doesn't have the beef necessary to play that tackle. So we should have our defensive rotation. When you look at last week, our defense started getting really tired. We only gave up about 50 yards rushing to Michael Turner in the first half, and then he piled 100 on us on the back end of that game. We just didn't have that rotation. Our D-line's got to get in and out of the game. When we look at our team, obviously quarterback's going to be the question. If we're going to be stuck with Greasy back there, old boy better learn how to step up in the pocket instead of drifting back further and further and giving up sacks he shouldn't give up. The word out of Tampa right now is that Garcia will start. There was a report that his father had said that that calf is really still hurting him. He can't move forward. He can take his drops, but he can't move forward without pretty significant pain, and that he will not play. If he doesn't play, I hope Coach Gruden realizes that Luke McCown may be a better option given the number of reps he's been taking. But I think that we're going to see Garcia go at home. So we got to take a look at this. We got to look at what the Bucs have to do. The defense of the San Diego Chargers, no great shakes. Again, you look at their stats. They are giving up a lot of ground in general, 346 yards per game as I look at the stat sheet. And what screams out at me is 31st in the league against the pass. They're giving up 244 yards per game. So whoever the hell the quarterback is, he better be ready to throw the ball to Antonio Bryant, Jeremy Stevens, and our other targets downfield. So keys to the game, they all sound familiar, right? Got to stop the running game, whether it's LT or Sproles. We got to force Phillip Rivers to be predictably one-dimensional, and then do to him what we did to Drew Brees, another really great quarterback, confuse him. Now with Flip out, our boy Jermaine Phillips is out again with a broken forearm. Savvy Piscatelli or Will Allen, whoever gets in there and gets the majority of those snaps, had better step up and bring their big boy helmet. We're hoping to get those turnovers. When we look at the turnover differential, we're a +7 on the year. They're a -1. They do have a propensity to get rid of the ball. It hasn't been Phillip. He's only had 11 interceptions. He's got a 28-11 TD to interception ratio, We got to make sure we're putting the sticks on these boys and getting the ball. They're not going to get a lot of turnovers on us, it would appear, even though they've got Cromartie and Jammer back there in the defensive backfield. And last but not least, we got to let it fly. We got that quarterback who's going to have to take advantage of Antonio Bryant, who's had a phenomenal back half of the year and is in line well for the Comeback Player of the Year award. So, again, we can clinch with wins over these two teams, and we've got control of our own destiny. So we're going to be looking to do that against San Diego at home. 1 o'clock kickoff time. It was flexed out of the primetime game. We got Carolina and New York facing off in New York this week, a big game in the NFC. There's still a lot of stuff that can shake down in the NFC, folks, so we're all going to be paying attention to it. If you want to hear the analysis of how this game went down, make sure you tune in over on Monday night at www.whatthebuc.net, and we'll break this thing down piece by piece, and we'll talk about what's going to happen in the following week and then hopefully get set up for the playoffs. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. We're coming up on 100 subscribers on YouTube, so if you know someone who's a Bucs fan or might enjoy this, make sure you tell them about it. Thanks a lot.